Good afternoon. My name is Brian Clark, and this is a session for the reading list for Illinois Central College. Thank you, James, for attending, and this is being recorded for those who are able to make it back and view it later. So this session is going to be about where to take your reading lists after you have digitized material from your textbook. And before we get into some of the new content, I did want to just show a slide that shows how much savings for students we have achieved through the digitization of textbooks in FY21. So in FY21, we counted that the number of students impacted by this program was 2,230, with an estimated cost of materials with the percentage digitized understood is $514 per student. So the potential savings for all the students is $18,697. And that was in our year one output of this new system. So, you know, I definitely think we started strong, and we're definitely looking forward to where we can move from here in the coming years. So, a couple things that I'm going to talk through first, and then I will do some hands-on demonstration as well, just to make sure that I can cover as much as possible. Rather than demonstrating everything, I'm just going to show first and then demonstrate second. So if you have digitized items from your textbook and put them into the reading list, you might want to branch beyond that by looking at first at other sources. And what's great about the reading list is you're able to add from other sources from a variety of different places. And we at the ICC library have created a number of tutorials to assist you in figuring that out. So if you were looking to add items either from other library sources, media, or your own files, we have YouTube links that will demonstrate that. And I am putting these into the chat so that those of us here and those of us on the recording will be able to see them. And then besides the linking to library material and other files, there's also a tool called the Cite It tool that you can download to your browser, and that will allow you to quickly integrate any of your web sources just by pulling them up on the internet. And I am going to throw those tutorials in the chat, but I also want to show that really quick. So let's say that I was sorry, 1 minute. I gotta share my screen, and it's taking a second, of course. Technology is fun. Okay, so let's say that we were looking at TED Talks to add to our reading list. So let's say that we wanted to look at this one, The Art of Paying Attention. Okay, so, all right, it's not going to autoplay. That's good. So up here on my bookmark bar, you can see that I have a button that says Cite It. So since I am on the material that I want to cite, if I click the Cite It button, it is going to populate the information from this video directly from the website because it is embedded in the code of the website. So you can see the title, the author, it pulls in the type as a video, the source, and then you can add more information as you see fit. And then at the bottom, you can just choose which reading list you want to go to. So for today, I'm going to be using my fall class to demonstrate. So it's going to my LIB 120 reading list. And let's go ahead and put it in week 1. If I click add and close, it's going to set that it was successfully added. So then if I pop over to my reading list, go to week 1, you'll see I have a lot of documents, and then at the bottom, a video for the art of paying attention that I just added. So Scite makes it quick and easy because it is going to populate the material and you're not going to have to worry about where that information is coming from or how it's going to look. It's just going to put it in there quickly so that you don't have to do all the steps yourself. So that's the Scite, but the other thing that I want to talk about is the idea that once you've created these lists, you're also going to want to figure out how to move it from one course to another, right? So if you want to continue using the digitized textbook that you have in this reading list in your next semester, you're going to want to figure out how to roll that information over. And so again, another tutorial, we have, would be helpful if I picked the right one. All right, so we have a tutorial that is about the rollover process right here. And this tutorial is going to lead you through the steps. And basically what you're going to need to do is once you've created that new course, you're going to need to just relink your Blackboard back to the reading list. So you're going to create a reading list within your course and then choose to roll over a previously used course. And again, this tutorial in the chat will walk you through that step by step, which is very useful. But those are future developments. But what if we wanted to work on information that we had now? And so a couple things that we can do is that if I reshare my screen, okay, so again, this is my LIB 120 reading list for this semester. And as you can see in week 1, I have a number of PDF documents. And if I click on the document itself, you will see that the text of the document populates immediately on the page itself. And so we are able to see this because I have chosen to embed the document directly into the reading list. So rather than having to download the document, which the students are still able to, they are able to see the embedded work directly on the screen, and they're able to scroll through the document, read it here without having to download it, and take it with them. They can do that if they like, but they don't have to with the way the embed works. Other things that we want to do is, as you can see, like this one that we were just looking at, the title is not the most user-friendly. So if I go into the edit item or edit citation menu, and I'll do that more slowly. If I go to the three dots here next to the citation title and click edit item, I can go ahead and change this title well, oh, haha, not the file name. I was in the wrong place. Change the title down here. See, it helps if you pay attention. And I can just make it more user-friendly, right? So I can get rid of the underscores, put in the capitalization. That changes the title. And then if I go through, I could create a public note. I could create a due date. All of that basic information, just to make sure that it looks better for the students. And as you see, it changed it here. I did miss a space, so if I wanted to, I could go back and re-edit it, put that space back in, click save, right? And so it's nice and easy and makes it user-friendly for the students without having to mess with the file that you uploaded or re-uploading. It's just a quick edit of the output within the reading list rather than the input. So it's nice to deal with that on a user basis. And as I said, for the edit item, we looked at the title. I also talked about the public note. So if I go in here and talk to, I could put in a public note to say this document is the first modern system of cataloging rules. Click save. You can see now under the title that there is a public note, and you can put whatever you want in here, either a description or you can put information on specific passages to read or passages to skip. That way that the students, you know what you're looking for them to get out of this reading. So then once we look at organizing this information, we want to figure out the best way to use the files themselves. And so the reading lists, they have a new feature called social reading. And I'm going to play a quick YouTube video that will introduce it, and then I will show you how to use it on my own files within this. All right, so let me hit play. Okay. So let me quickly just James, did the sound not work?
I could not hear a sound on my end. I can hear you perfectly. I sort of vaguely heard someone, but I even with my volume all the way up, it wasn't. I wasn't able to comprehend what she was saying.
I apologize. I
Oh,
must not
no.
have set that up correctly. But what I'm going to do, which will solve that, is I'm going to put that YouTube link directly into the chat. So then you can go and look at that later, because again, it's only, a minute plus. But what's great about the video, and I'll walk through it myself real quick. What's great about the video is, it's short, which is very helpful, and it just sets it up so that you know where to look for the information. So if I go and let's say that I want to put annotations on this document, right? Well, first it's great because it does talk about the embed feature. So you know where to go to embed your document, which would be these three dots. And as you can see, it is already embedded, so you don't need to worry about that. And you want to make sure the public annotations are turned on, and you can tell that by the green public annotations slider. And so once you've done that, if you want to, you would just go through and using the inner scroll bar, let's say that I wanted to focus on general principles. I would select comment. Oh, the table of contents was hyperlinked, so it didn't work. So if I select the text that I want to comment on, hold on, I apologize. And then I type in my note. These general principles reflect the modern understanding. Catalog. I can make that private note as it's set for, so only I will see it, but I can also make it public, so then all of my students can see it as well. And then if I save, it's going to save the note, and then it's going to show me what it's connected to. So you see, I copied lots of the text, and it's highlighting it to show what I did. So you can always change it to set as private, edit it, or delete it once you've done it. But what's great about the system is your students can annotate it along with you. And so you're able to use those annotations within the class, similar to how you would use a discussion board. James, I see your hand is raised.
Yes, I was wondering, Brian, if those annotations will carry over if you roll over the class. So, can this be a living document where if you teach it in one section and then the next semester you teach it, will those student annotations still be there, or will they disappear?
So if you're rolling over the course and just taking if you're following the tutorial for rolling over the course and taking a previously used reading list, the annotations will stay because you're using the same reading list that's previously used and just moving it to a different class. So the reading list and the will stay, and the annotations are connected to that reading list. But if you wanted to keep all of your annotations, but get rid of any student annotations from that semester, you could then go through and select which annotations you wanted to delete leaving just yours and getting rid of the students. You'd have to do that for each reading if you wanted to get rid of some of them, but that way you wouldn't have to retype all of the annotations you provided. So it just depends which is more cumbersome, the deleting or the adding new ones, which would be the better way to use it.
Great, thank you.
Yep. And so that would be how to use the annotation feature. There's also a way that we can go to the three dots and a student can mark it as done. So a green check will appear to show whether or not the student has done the reading. And then there's also another student discussion outside of the annotations, but still within the reading list, where you can add comments and engage with your students directly connected to each of the citations. And so this way, you're able to keep everything in one place. And that way you can use your discussion board on Blackboard for different discussions outside of the reading or in addition to what you discuss here on the reading lists. Any
Brian,
question? Yeah, go ahead.
Is the default that the annotations are on, or is the default that they're off?
The default is that they are on. So I did not turn the annotations on for my readings, but all of my readings have the annotations on. So when they made this live a few months ago, they went through and for any PDF, the annotation was set to on. And so that was just a system-wide set. So if you wanted to turn them off, you would have to go in and turn them off yourself.
So then that raises the other question. You mentioned PDF. So if it's a Word document or a website, there's no annotation feature for those.
Not at this time. The rollout, they're hoping that will be ready by 2022. So hopefully we could see that as early as spring semester. They're hoping to roll it out and test it later this fall. So as long as the timeline stays, we should be able to see the annotations across the websites and the Word documents, as you said, by next semester.
Great.
Other questions that you might have, James?
Not questioned. I just want to talk about the citation tool again. It's a great feature. And one of the things that I enjoy about it is that I can be browsing the web for something else, or someone could have sent me a link and I'm not even thinking about my class, but I know in the past, sometimes I've been reading something and said, oh, that would be great for English 111. And then, one thing leads to another and I don't get back to it. Whereas this, as soon as you're thinking about it, you see it, you can cite it. You don't have to be in Blackboard or Canvas. And you can just go ahead and say, oh yeah, that would be a great additional reading. And there you go.
Definitely. And one way that I've used it that I've felt has been really helpful, so is not to add it to a section that all of my students are seeing, because like you said, it's a great way to populate ideas. I will oftentimes create a new section and just title it possible readings, hit create, and it's going to put that all the way down at the bottom with 0 readings in it. But as I'm going through the web, anytime I want to cite something, all I have to do, like let's say I wanted to look at that TED Talk again, or let's say I just went to this TED Talk. If I click cite it, right, it's still going to populate. But then if I look down here, I can just choose which section of my reading list I want to put it in, making the cursor work. And I can scroll all the way down to possible readings, and it's just going to put it there. And because that section isn't linked anywhere directly on my Blackboard, the students aren't going to run across it. And so that way it's a way for me to collect ideas without having to decide at that moment if it's something I want my students to see. And I found that very helpful because it gives me that leeway to not have to be always thinking about my class as I go through it. So yeah, so definitely once you have that digitized material, you know, there's a lot of tools within the program to use it, like the annotation, the discussion, and then you're able to move on and add new items and new content as you see fit to make sure that your reading list is the best it can be for your students.
Yeah, and as you were talking, I was thinking about possible assignments that I could create around these annotations, and have not only a dialogue between the students, but the students engaging in the materials in a much more meaningful way.
Right, they're no longer static; they're living at that point. So that is all I had. It looks like I'm amazingly right on time. I don't know how that happened. But James,
All
any final
planning.
comments?
Nope, you planned it well, Brian. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and then I will stop the recording.